Today began strangely. I had been meant to take a job to Bath, but the booking was cancelled at the last moment. Another client appeared and then disappeared. I felt like the day was slipping through my hands, yet somehow guiding me elsewhere. I had thought of Stonehenge, but instead, on the road, a sign caught my eye. Farleigh Castle. Almost without thinking, I turned. It wasn't Stonehenge's cosmic stones I was heading to. It was the broken fortress of men. And as I entered the ruins, I began to understand. Today was not about the sky and stars. Today was about walls and foundations. The land was speaking. Stonehenge opens portals to the heavens. Castles anchor the struggles of earth. I felt this was no accident. The struggles I carried recently, with rude clients, with low-paying jobs, with doubts about my path, all of it was mirrored here. The castle whispered, "This is not about ascending higher. This is about grounding deeper. Look at the structures you build inside yourself." I began walking the perimeter clockwise, as if circling my own inner walls. I noticed where the outer walls stood intact, and where the inner chambers had collapsed. A question rose from within. Where are my defenses strong, and where are they broken? Are my inner walls built from fear or from wisdom? What is worth defending in me, and what is ready to open? The answers weren't immediate, but the questions themselves began to dig into me. Then my steps carried me toward two towers, rising still against the sky. I stopped and simply looked at them. Both were worn by centuries, yet they still held a presence. One was more exposed, open to the elements. The other, stronger, more complete, standing in shadow. I didn't name them yet. I just stood before them, acknowledging them like old sentinels, guardians of a threshold. They seemed to ask me, "Which way will you go first?" I chose the left tower. This was the feminine tower, though I only understood it after stepping inside. It was said Elizabeth Hungerford had been imprisoned here in the 1530s. I entered, closed my eyes, and tried to open the space within myself. The walls felt wounded, vulnerable, as if holding centuries of grief. Standing there, I asked, "Am I also imprisoning parts of myself? Do I lock away what I fear instead of allowing it to breathe?" I left heavy-hearted but also softened, carrying the question back with me. Later, I turned toward the second tower, stronger, more complete, yet shrouded in shadow. This one carried a different energy. Stepping inside, I found water gathered like a pond. As I gazed into it, my reflection met the sky, farther sky mirrored in the water below. Here, I understood, God is in the mirror. Heaven and earth meet in reflection. What is above meets what is below, not in the stones, but in the water, in the silence, in me. Sitting afterwards on a bench between these towers, my thoughts drifted back to my recent struggles. That bitter old lady who shook my confidence. The endless chase for poorly paid jobs. The weight of needing to buy a new car just to keep going in circles. Her bitterness had pierced me more deeply than I wanted to admit. She had made me question whether I even wanted to keep doing this work. Yet now, looking at the ruins, I saw it differently. She had cracked my inner wall, not to destroy me, but to show me where I still let others' disrespect leak inside. The castle whispered, "Your worth is not measured by scraps of money or the moods of strangers. Rebuild your walls. Let your fire serve with dignity. No bitterness can shake you unless you allow it inside." It struck me. The car I chase is both chariot and chain. It gives me freedom to move, but also ties me to servitude. The jobs I take are not just income. They are choices of where I let my fire burn. The ruins ask me, how will you shift from chasing scraps to choosing with dignity? How will you let the car serve you instead of you serving it? The walls became my mirror. The feminine tower showed wounds. The masculine tower showed strength in shadow. And I realized, my task is not to live only in one or the other. My feminine has endured. My masculine waits in shadow. They must meet in balance. Even my phone gave a sign. Inside one tower, the signal dropped. I understood. When I fall too far into one polarity, only feeling or only control, my connection to source weakens. The center is where the antenna is strongest. The land was saying, stay balanced. Do not lose yourself in one pole. The portal opens when you walk as the bridge. From the towers, my steps led me into the chapel. Where the tombs of kings and queens lay heavy in stone silence. The air was charged, not quiet, for outside motorbikes roared in some festival, their noise pressing even into these sacred walls. It felt as if the unconscious world was trying to drown the silence of the inner chamber. On one wall, an image caught my eye, a king fighting a dragon. At first glance, it seemed like another Christian motif, spirit conquering chaos, order defeating darkness. Yet as I stood there, I sensed a deeper truth. The dragon was not the devil. It was the fire coiled at the base of existence, the serpent of life itself. The king was not merely a ruler, he was the higher self, the light of awareness, the will to direct. The king and the dragon on the wall were not just stone and paint. They were alive in me, as real as the fire I wrestle with each day. The battle was never to slay the dragon, but to master it, to ride the fire rather than be consumed. Wasn't this the very struggle within me? Surges of energy, sexual and emotional, rising like flames, threatening to overwhelm. And the question burning in me, how do I hold this fire without being destroyed by it? Beneath the chapel lay the crypt, and my feet carried me down into it. I descended slowly, each step an initiation into the womb of the earth. The air grew dense, heavy, echoing with centuries of breath, grief, and prayers. The chamber felt alive, but uncertain of me. As I stepped inside, I felt the energy turn, as though unseen eyes measured my presence. For a moment, I stood as a stranger at the threshold of memory. I placed my hand upon the cold stone and whispered inwardly, I am not here to disturb. I am here to honor. At that, something shifted. The heaviness softened. I felt allowed to remain. The chapel above was spirit. The crypt below was shadow. Together, they mirrored the very image I had just seen on the wall. The king and the dragon, the sun above and the serpent below, the eternal meeting of light and fire within me. When I emerged from the crypt, the gardens drew me in. Fruit trees and herbs grew quietly around the chapel, and among them I noticed a quince tree, its branches bent under the weight of golden fruit. Earlier, before I descended, I had seen it and felt the urge to take one, but something held me back, as though I first needed to step below, to face the hidden chamber of the earth, before being permitted the gift of the land. Now, returning from the crypt, I reached out and picked a quince. For a moment, guilt flickered within me. Was I doing something wrong? Was the fruit forbidden, not meant for visitors? Yet as I held it in my hand, another truth spoke through me. The tree does not bear fruit to hoard it. The land offers freely to those who come with reverence. I ate the quince there in silence. Its taste was sweet and tart, grounding and alive. Its sweetness was not only taste, but teaching, as if the land itself entered my blood. And in that act, something sealed. It was not theft, it was communion. The chapel had shown me the spirit, the crypt had revealed the shadow, and the fruit was the union, the golden bridge between above and below, heaven and earth, king and dragon. By taking it into my body, I was placing the teaching of the land inside myself. Above and below are not enemies. Spirit and fire, light and serpent, are not meant to fight forever, but to meet, to be held, and to rise together in balance. The guilt dissolved. In its place came sovereignty. The fruit of life is not forbidden. It is offered. All that is asked is that it be received consciously, with reverence. As I left the chapel gardens and the taste of quince lingered on my tongue, I turned once more to look at the ruins. The walls, the towers, the crypt beneath, they were not random fragments. They had been speaking to me all along, and now their voice became clear. The castle itself was a mirror of my state. The inner walls were gone, shattered, just as my inner confidence had been shaken by bitter words and poorly paid work. And yet the outer walls still stood, strong and imposing, like the face I continue to show the world. The teaching was simple, but sharp. It is not enough to keep the outer fortress intact. I must rebuild within. The two towers whispered too, the feminine, weathered and exposed, the masculine, stronger but shadowed. Each alone could not stand complete. The signal dropped when I entered them separately, but balance returned when I stood between. The lesson: do not lose myself in one pole. My strength is to walk the axis, to be bridge, not captive of either side. The chapel and crypt together echoed the same. Above, the king fighting the dragon, not to slay, but to master. Below, the heavy silence of shadow asking for honor, not denial. The fire within me, like the dragon, is not to be killed but raised, guided, lifted with care. And then the quince, golden and alive, showed me the union. At first guilt, then freedom. The fruit was never forbidden. It was my own mind that said so. Life offers itself freely to those who come with reverence. The land does not ask for permission slips. It only asks that I receive consciously. Even the buzzing motorbikes became part of the teaching. Their noise pressed into the sacred walls, yet inside, the stillness remained for me to feel. The world will always roar with distractions, but the inner temple is silence if I choose to enter it. So I gathered it all into one seed. Rebuild the inner fortress. Walk the middle path between the towers. Rule the dragon fire without slaying it. Trust the fruit of life when it is offered. Keep silence even when the world is loud. With that, the castle had given me what I came for, though I had never planned to come at all. From the castle, my path turned once more, and soon I found myself drawn towards Stonehenge. I had not planned it. Jobs cancelled, roads shifted, timings changed. And still, here I was, standing among a group waiting for the bus, surrounded by noise, chatter, and the weight of many voices. It struck me at once. Farleigh had been silence, ruins, fruit, crypts. Stonehenge was noise, crowds, distraction. The teaching was clear. The sacred does not always whisper in stillness. Sometimes it thunders in the chaos. Sometimes it waits to see if I can remain present in the noise. And the day itself carried meaning. It was the 13th, the number that breaks cycles. 12 is the circle, the wheel of completion. 13 is the step beyond, the hidden key, the spiral that rises. The world has always feared 13 because it dissolves old order. But here at Stonehenge, it revealed itself as a threshold. The bus brought me close to the stones, and as I reached the heel stone, the sentinel at the gate, the sky broke. A heavy rain fell suddenly, drenching everything. Tourists scattered, but I stayed, crouched under my umbrella, white shirt and black trousers already marked by mud. I felt ridiculous for a moment, but then I realized white and black are polarity. The earth was simply claiming me, adding brown soil, grounding to complete the trinity. Spirit, shadow, and earth sealed upon my clothes. It was as if the lesson of the castle returned. The towers of polarity now marked on my very body, joined by earth, so that I would never forget the balance. The heel stone is the marker of alignment, the eye of Stonehenge. And it was here, exactly here, that the rain chose to fall. Not punishment, initiation. Water poured from the sky to cleanse me, to wash away the noise, to drive away distraction, to leave me alone with the stones. My crouched body, bowed low to the earth, felt like a gesture of humility, a baptism at the gate. Then the sun broke through. Light struck the wet stones, and the circle glistened. Slowly the people returned, noise returning with them. But I had already been given my moment. I walked the circle 3 times, clockwise: body, mind, spirit, past, present, future, birth, life, death. 3 rounds to seal the cycle. And still the question pressed in: Why did I have to do all this? The detours, the bitter woman, the castle, the crypt, the fruit, the towers, the rain, the stones. What for? The answer whispered through the land, because you must first be broken from routine, because you must face the bitterness that shakes you and still hold your fire, because you must walk ruins to see your own walls, fruit to taste permission, crypts to face shadow, because only then can you stand cleansed at the threshold of the circle. The day itself was the ritual: disruption, ruin, shadow, fruit, storm, sun. Farleigh taught me to rebuild the fortress within. Stonehenge taught me to stand at the center of the wheel. Farleigh had shown me the ruins of men. Stonehenge revealed the endurance of the eternal. And so I left not with answers, but with alignment, carrying the words the stones seemed to speak through the rain. You are not here to see. You are here to feel. You are not here to follow the crowd. You are here to remain when others scatter. You are not here to stay clean. You are here to be marked by earth and sky. You are the threshold keeper. Hold the center.